Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and reactions throughout this video. Today, we're looking at the latest news article covering the Dylan Rounds case to see what it's all about, analyse if necessary, compare, contrast, and see if there's any contradictions or misinformation, okay? Should know the drill by now. You yourself watching can let me know if you pick up on anything of interest or you want to make a correction down below in the comment section. Let me know. You can even provide a timestamp if you want. But it's not just the news article, the latest one. We're going to be looking at the reactions and responses from Candice Cooley and as well some others from the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. As it was Candice Cooley who was the one that reposted the link to this recent article, which was about 2 days ago or so. So it's very recent. Now take in mind, this would have been done yesterday, but things took a different direction, a different turn unexpectedly within the case. If you are interested in that and the backstory, be sure to check last night's video out. If you haven't catched up on it yet, make sure to do so. Top right corner of the screen, the I symbol, you click on that, you'll be able to find the link to the video and as well the playlist of the Dylan Rounds case and coverage by me. So then you'll be up to date and have a better understanding of what's been going on recently. But nevertheless, we can still also look back and acknowledge comments today from the previous video. But first of all, in the appropriate order, we're looking at the latest news article, followed by Candice Cooley and other people's responses to it, followed by comments from the last video I did, answer any questions, catch up there, and then we'll check some additional stuff out. Now, just as a heads up, I did a little post on my community page from last night and I was, highlighting does anyone have a feeling that the Dylan Rounds case is going to be trashed, going to be harmed, disrupted, any more distractions? Will it happen again by a new wave, maybe by different people or the same? Does anyone think that way? We could do a poll right now. I didn't do one yesterday, I just did a simple post and a couple of people responded, okay? And I think the odd one didn't understand what I meant. Basically, to cut it short, the mess which occurred in 2022, 2023, more so 2022, is it going to repeat itself once again? And I'm not talking about the mess directly within the case, but the community. Let me know, feel free to vote as we go along today. The other thing to acknowledge down below in the comment section, you're welcome to share your additional thoughts or to elaborate, and there you'll also find the pinned comment if you wish to check those links out. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Last night, I'd say it was under control. It went well, much deeper than usual. All kinds of different thoughts and ideas going across the psychological route too. So if you're all interested in that, be sure to catch up on last night's video. But without further ado, it's now time in this video to look at the latest article and see if there's been anything else mentioned. Take in mind, this is by The Sun US, who were also known for doing a Dylan Rounds article some months ago now in relation to CrimeCon, the event in Florida, I believe it was, where Candice Cooley attended with Nate Eaton and some other missing person families. And Candice Cooley did that interview with The Sun US about such as the new DNA evidence being found by canine dogs, which is very interesting. And it also raised the questions and possibilities as to when Candice Cooley later posted on Facebook the canine dog team deployments and two of which in Lucin over the course of 2023, I would assume, and that there was 2 verified alerts, so 2 lots of key pieces of evidence found, one of which could be linked to that Sun US article that was done beforehand. I seem to be one of the only ones at the time to pick up on that. Other people, some out there, got a little bit hyperventilated and started thinking Dylan has been found, but that's not what it was worded as. As said, it's about trying to make things clear as we go along so people don't get too excited or too disappointed. Try and maintain that balance. And I think the more I demonstrate and show that balance, the more of a target I become, but oh well. I mean, just to add in with the voting option right now, right? In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised. It has felt, okay, a day or two before, it's felt like things could get a little bit disruptive once again. Not here, but just in general in the case. Maybe it's that feeling, that idea of missing out. Warlight Raf, mainly the only person now covering the Dylan Rounds case. Well, consistently too, but really the only person covering the Dylan Rounds case, because Scott Natal will be busy doing his own stuff. And even recently, when he has done videos, it's about other missing people. Earthworm Infotainment, when I last checked them, which might have been several days ago now, nowhere to be seen, completely silent, at least for the YouTube part, and just other people in general. You know, it's understandable, it's very understandable, but I am still able to think of stuff, right? And if it helps keep the case alive, then there's no harm in doing that. So, but today it's not just about thinking, it's about looking at what's been officially presented out there as for the proper news, if people want to, you know, hear it like that, the proper material to review, to analyse it. Has it changed much? Is there anything additional? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's get straight into it. The title of this article reads, "Grieving family of missing teen Dylan Rounds face agonising wait after murder suspects hearing delayed for 6 months." So reading this title doesn't quite sit well with Candice Cooley, and that will be explained later. It might even confuse viewers right now. Delayed? But I thought the preliminary hearing date has been set. Isn't that a good thing? Well, yes, movement forwards, and it's in place, and what Candice Cooley has previously said, that there won't be any delays, and they have the momentum. Did they know for certain? Well, from what commenters, viewers have stated themselves, some from their own experience, it's not always a guarantee, even if the family do feel confident. But I think this title could have been worded a little bit better. It could have said something like, "With the ongoing Dylan Rounds case, family await preliminary hearing set for the near future of 2024, which is a while away." Has it been delayed? No. The preliminary hasn't been delayed because it hasn't even occurred yet. The only thing that has been set is the date for the preliminary, okay? When the date comes around for the preliminary, if by some unfortunate situation it's delayed, well then you can say it's been delayed. It hasn't been delayed yet because it hasn't even started yet. It's just that the date has been announced as to when it supposedly will be underway, which is, I think it was it March or May? March, May, 15th, 16th, 17th, 2 to 3 days. Take in mind, if you go on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page, or if you go back on one of my previous videos, the date is specifically mentioned, okay? Basically, short story is, it's some time away. So in this silence, what happens in between? Take in mind, searches become limited, restricted. If the weather gets bad, winter comes on in, what else can be done? Maybe you look back at, 2022 going into 2023. Whatever happened then could happen here, right? If there's background stuff going on. But let's just continue reading. It might make more sense. There's this little subcaption. "The only suspect in the mysterious disappearance of the 19-year-old will finally be faced with a preliminary hearing in May." Okay, so there we go, May. I said March, it's May. May 15th when it starts. So what do you think about the way they've worded this? The mysterious disappearance of Dylan Rounds. I've not really heard the word mysterious used that much in this case, if not at all. I mean, with the Kenny Veach case, mysterious, a mystery missing person case not solved to this day, so it remains a mystery. But the only key words that have been used with Dylan Rounds is murder, foul play, true crime, and that's it. So it's interesting for certain words to float about, which I've not heard much before. Now, this article is by Steve Brenner, which is kind of an unfortunate name to have when the suspect is James Brenner. I assume that Steve Brenner is not related to James Brenner. This was updated and posted 10/11 ET, December 17th, 2023. So, this is a recent article, but is the information new? We'll find out. So, There is a video there, that's the thumbnail of the video. It looks more like a summary and catch up on the previous hearings, what went down, Brenner going into court, limping about. Then on the right side, Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds saying that they don't fall for it, that it's a sympathy act. Brenner acting all hurt and vulnerable to appear more, I don't know, receive a lenient review on Brenner maybe. Yeah. Right, what did it say here? The devastated family of Dylan Rounds continues to play an agonizing waiting game in the desperate search for answers. This is to think, a waiting game in the search for answers. Well, you could reword that and say that the family, in a way, or at least with their attitude, have brought it upon themselves to wait for answers, because when they supposedly did have a chance previously, they were willing to turn it down. So, yeah. It says, Mom, Candice Cooley told the US Sun earlier this year that she was hopeful of key suspect James Brenner finally being convicted of killing her son, who went missing on May 28th last year at the age of 19 and has never been found. Is that like an old missing person poster there of Dylan? I guess so. Let's just see what it reads here. So this was the initial first poster, I guess. Dylan Rounds, last seen in Lucin, Utah on 5th of the 25th, 2022. 19 years old, 5'10", 160 pounds, brown hair and eyes. Now, to be honest, the height and weight did change about from time to time, maybe on the odd missing person poster, but more so on the NamUs database, the public record one. The bit where it says, Dylan, last seen in Lucin on the 25th of May 2022. That's changed since, because it would have been the 26th, 27th when Dylan was last seen, and it was more so in Montello, Nevada, across the border. But in relation to the 25th, last seen, I guess, by Chase Venstra from his point of view at the time, and when details were exchanged, because on the 25th of May in 2022, Dylan Rounds, driving down Tacoma Road, came across Chase Venstra on the side and got picked up, given a ride back to Montello. Now, was that in Lucin or was that in Montello? Well, it was described as Montello, Nevada, so I don't know why it says Lucin here. You get what I'm saying? But then again, Tacoma Road seems to run through Montello into Lucin, so maybe. Moving down, 20,000 reward, eventually upped to 50,000, then increased to 100,000, then Heavy D and the crew matched that to 200,000, okay, giving another 100k. But it was all withdrawn in the end because it wasn't getting anywhere. I know some people in recent time and in the past where, well, all this reward money out there and nobody is coming forth with answers or anything. People are keeping quiet. If somebody out there did have answers, then surely they would have said something by now. Well, this is an alternative point which maybe people haven't heard of before. What if there are some people, or one, out there that may have got paid off to keep quiet? So they don't need the reward money because they've already been paid themselves in the background. Has anyone thought of that, possibly? I mean, the only other fact, well, there could be many, but the other factor which has been highlighted could be some form of loyalty, keeping quiet, covering for one another. I mean, some people could laugh at that and think, ha, loyalty? You're going to turn down that amount of money? Some people are willing to. Others may just do it to protect themselves, that money's good, but safety is even more important. That if you took the money, you grasped on someone, you might have to look over your shoulder for the rest of your life. I guess it just depends where you are in the world and who you're surrounded by. Take in mind that the 20,000 reward money, the poster, and how that was initially set up, whether it be after or before, kind of coincided in a way with Kurt Wadsworth initially pointing out he had some form of intel, which was that psychic reader and the Montello hostage situation of Dylan, which turned out to be a false call. Decoy or not, was it opportunistic behaviour in hopes of getting reward money? I don't know. Some people could say no, it wasn't, but there's always that chance. What do we have here? Dylan has been missing since last May and cops are no closer to finding him. That doesn't sound great, does it? Now, you could suggest that the cops are no closer to finding Dylan because it's not the cops that are out there regularly any time since. It's more so private groups and family supposedly being out there, and the K9 task force team which have been going out. So there's that. We've got that photo once again, what we've seen. Dylan's mum, Candice, continues to lead the search for her son and has told the US Sun next court date isn't until May because of scheduling. Isn't this interesting though, how it's worded as Dylan's mum, Candice Cooley, continues to lead the search? Well, what about Justin Rounds? Is he not leading? Is he just sitting in the background? See, this is the thing, and you've got to understand it from both points of view. When it comes to the news articles, the official news groups, it's always referencing Candice Cooley first and putting her above Justin Rounds. Not always, but often. Often enough to pick up on it. But then vice versa. I mean, before we move on to that, I know some people will say, well, of course Candice Cooley is going to be mentioned the most because she talks the most, and these news groups and interviews that take place are with Candice Cooley only. So they are going to refer to her over Justin. I get that. But then the opposite would be when it comes to online, when it comes to the discussions, the people in the community, people end up praising Justin Rounds and putting him at the very top of the list, and Candice Cooley falls underneath. So with the official news groups, Candice Cooley is at the top. And then with the informal groups, with the general public, it's Justin Rounds at the top. It's one or the other. It's an interesting pattern I've noticed. Anyway, you got the photo of James Brenner there, where he was hobbling into court at the time. Does it give the actual date? Might do. James Brenner, 59 years of age, is the only suspect and has been charged with a series of offences, including aggravated murder and the desecration. Right. Charged with a series of offences, some of which had nothing to do with Dylan's case, like the Firearms, and the 2021 aggravated assault. And then, to do with Dylan, aggravated murder and the desecration. Interesting how it says, is the only suspect. Well, it says, the only suspect that has been charged. So you could interpret that as there are other suspects out there still. They've just not been charged, like Brenner. You get what I'm saying? Even these news articles can suggest those possibilities, even when others claim no one else is responsible. Right, moving on. Brenner, 59, was living on farmland in Lucin, Utah, where Dylan was working and was charged with aggravated murder and abuse or desecration of a human body, along with firearm charges. For the most part of that, true. But the bit where it says Brenner was living on farmland where Dylan was working, that's incorrect. Where Dylan was working, not specifically on the day, but just in general, when it comes to Dylan's farm work, there's a 5 mile difference, right? A 5 mile distance between Dylan's farm place and the Grangeshed property. So Brenner was not living on Dylan's land, nor was Brenner living where Dylan was working, so that's incorrect. Brenner, has been in custody for months, yet progress in the case has been terribly slow, and with a body yet to be discovered, Candice Cooley at least wants to see Brenner caged for his alleged crimes. Wait, hold on. What does that mean? Candice Cooley at least wants Brenner caged for his crimes. So Candice Cooley at least wants justice. But Candice Cooley also said you can't have justice without the body being found. You need both for that. Closure, or as close to closure as possible, despite what's happened, and for full-on justice. And the way it's worded here, it's kind of watered down a little bit. But Candice Cooley at least wants Brenner to be caged. I guess caged means locked up for good, sent to prison like that, unable to walk as a free man. Right. But that's not what Candice Cooley wanted, was it? For quite some time, Candice Cooley wanted, and from the looks of it, Justin, the death penalty to be on Brenner. But they didn't get what they wanted. But in recent articles, what we've seen, or well, no, more so from what we've seen from Candice Cooley, as I've documented on my channel, one of her recent Facebook posts, that death penalty taken off the table, as we heard previously, but there's good reason for it, and Candice Cooley is satisfied with the reasoning behind it. So unless this Sun article is taking that into account, that Candice Cooley has changed since in a short space of time, but normally these news articles tend not to give instant updates of what's just recently happened, unless Candice Cooley has been in direct contact with these, maybe. But yeah, at least for in the past, Candice Cooley was pretty fixed on, and maybe Justin too, on the death penalty, for that full-on justice, I guess, in their mindset, but it has changed since. Right. Says, Candice Cooley has been very critical of Box Elder authorities and the lack of assistance offered in the hunt for her beloved son. That doesn't sound quite correct wording. The hunt for Dylan Rounds. Normally, you use the word hunt when you're chasing after something, and it involves getting a hold of it, maybe with force. Getting a hold of it, not to care or look after, but to put to other use. Like hunting involves killing an animal. Hunting a killer down, hunting a criminal down, apprehending and taking them, let's say, to the police station. You don't hunt a missing person. You're searching for a missing person. So not exactly appropriate wording there in this article. Anyway, Candice Cooley was hoping a court case would start before the end of the year after hearings slated for October was moved to November. Really? Let's move past that. Some weird articles there. What's this? In my gut, I knew, says brother of missing mum. Right, that must be something completely different. Let's move on. It says, but the Rounds family was informed last week that because of a scheduling conflict with one of Brenner's defence attorneys, the preliminary hearing won't start until May. Right, so I don't remember hearing about that extra bit of detail, that conflict with Brenner's defence attorneys. That's why it's been scheduled that far back. Is that really true? Did anyone else hear about that? Why is the conflict with one of Brenner's defence attorneys? Is it because they're willing to quit? They don't want to be a part of the case? Is it because it's got something to do with the unrelated cases, to do with Dylan Rounds, unrelated to the case? I wonder unrelated charges to do with the Dylan's case. I mean, there's already been back and forth mess previously with those. What were they called? I forgot what they were called. Where they're appointing the attorneys, right? That point that was dragged out. What else do we have here? Candice wants action now, but knows with a date now set in stone, there is at least some light at the end of a very dark tunnel. Right, so how it's worded here is kind of like how Candice Cooley said herself in that post, that it's set in place. There's not going to be any more delays. It's not going to go on for 4 years, 1+ year. This is it now. The momentum is here. Sounds positive, right? But people could still be skeptical. We see what happens when the day comes. It says, they feared the judge would stall the case yet again, but Candice Cooley, who has fought tirelessly for answers, told the US Sun, yes, it's disappointing, it takes that long, and it's actually because of the attorney's schedule, but it's not another continuance. Right. It originally sounded like that was going to be the case, but then the defence surprised us all. Right, so the defence are the ones messing about, supposedly. Scrolling on down a little bit more, there was some adverts above, hence why there was a bit of a jump cut. But as we see here, it says in quotes, I keep having people ask if we were worried that the dates could be held back again, but that's not the case with a preliminary hearing. That's not something that can be altered with. Is that true? If there's anybody in the chat right now that has experienced a preliminary hearing with the date being set in stone but then being delayed when the time comes about, any experiences with that, let me know down below, because here doesn't seem to be the case. It says Brenner, who was squatting on the property and has a history of violent crimes, was arrested back in June 2022 and still remains the only suspect in the heartbreaking case. So that's interesting. Once again, it says squatting here, but obviously some of the general public say he wasn't. It's back and forth. But I think that was ironed out in recent time as well with some of Corey's comments, but it depends which Corey it was that said it at the time, right? Anyway, interesting how here it says Brenner still remains the only suspect in this case. The reason why that's interesting is because earlier on it said Brenner is the only suspect to have been charged. But now it's saying that Brenner, in general, remains the only suspect in the case as a whole, charged or not. So there's a bit of contradictions there. I mean, at least for how it's been formally done, there's not really been any follow-ups with any other individuals. So my recent coverage of Bibbins was more of a suggestion, right? For and against arguments, okay? I think the initial video I did, part of the series, was misunderstood, though the one what I did last night was very clear. So you want to catch up on that, as said, feel free to do so. Top right corner of the screen, I symbol, you'll be able to find it there, right? But this article continues to go on and say, Candice Cooley believes the weight of evidence, Dylan's boots that were found near Brenner's place, well, the dirt mound, and a cell phone, which was Dylan's, recovered from the pond, should have seen prosecutors act far quicker. Right, okay, so Candice Cooley, her opinion thinks that Dylan's boots and the cell phone were more than enough evidence to get the prosecutors to act quicker than what they actually did. But I guess what you got to take in mind that yes, the cell phone was recovered early on, but at a later point, that's when the deep dive forensics was done on the phone, and that's when the footage was retrieved, which I'd say is the key turning point, right? So there was a bit of delay there, but there was a process. As for Dylan Round's boots, I'll be honest with you, Dylan's boots being found out there, which just happened to have Brenner's prints on, as a standalone piece of evidence, I wouldn't say it's enough. It's not strong enough for a case as a single piece. It's an important part of the jigsaw puzzle, but a standalone item like that, I wouldn't say it's enough, even if Candice Cooley thinks so. But if we're talking about the cell phone, Dylan Brown's, yes, that would be very important, even if it was the only thing found, because of what's, on it. That time-lapse video, right, which showed Brenner, incriminating evidence there. But also that phone itself, the phone pings on the day, which tie up and tie in with the possibilities of who was where was what, and how it links to certain additional evidence which has been collected over time, including that from the phone itself of the time-lapse footage with the timestamp which can tie in with the phone pings of that phone beforehand leading up to that moment, right? So yes, I still think that the cell phone is the key turning point within the case. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or not. Let's continue on. Take in mind, unrelated, apologies if there is any background sound. It's just stupid idiots outside doing work in the rain. Okay, there's nothing I can do about that. But let's just move on. It says, Candice Cooley believes the weight of... Oh yeah, we saw that. Sorry, I was getting confused by the idiots outside. There's always dickheads trying to get him away, Anyway, it says, Candice Cooley told the US Sun at CrimeCon in September that she felt her son was literally under our feet before the killer allegedly took him to a place that still remains a mystery. So, with that thought being said at the time, and it wasn't that long ago, it would make you think that it's kind of suggesting that Dylan Rounds was buried maybe on the Grainshed property land, but then a form of desecration, digging him back up and then taking him elsewhere at a different time, different point, took place. Interesting. I mean, I suggested that in the past, but there was people with time that discredited it or rejected that suggestion. But maybe with time, it might become a bit clearer. It goes on to say, fed up at the lack of help from authorities, Candice Cooley began working with a team that owned forensic dogs, having failed to convince Box Elder cops to do it themselves. Yeah, well, we saw that the dog situation early on in the case was a bit on and off, wasn't quite successful. some delays, maybe some excuses, but that K9 task force group have been very helpful in the Dylan Rounds case. It's been proven, it's been shown, and even with other cases and other deployments out there in different states. What's this? In quotes, everyone wanted it sooner, but it's up to the judge. And he said May, so we just have to stick with that, she added. There's nothing we can do with that. We are at mercy of the judge. To me, it's crazy to think that an attorney could be busy until May. He has 2 attorneys, and it's only one of them who's tied up until May. But at least something is moving forwards. Right, so it's coming all down to one of the attorneys being busy. And that's why it's been set back so far, the preliminary hearing of Brenner. Supposedly, how it's worded here. I've not heard this before until I've looked at this article. So it adds maybe a bit more depth, a bit more of an understanding as to why it's that date and why it will take time. But let me know your thoughts in the chat right now, whether you agree, if it's true or not. Got Dylan Rounds there. Is that it? Okay. What's that? Dylan's boot cell phone found near where James Brenner was living. No, that's not quite true. But the boots were found near in between Brenner's place living and the Grangehead property, the dirt mound, and the cell phone found at Lucin Pond, away from the 2 locations. But yeah, that's it of this article. Let's now take a look at what Candice Cooley had to say in response to it on the Facebook page. Well, as you see on screen, 16th of December at 23:24, this post being made. 16th of December, didn't it say the article was the 17th? Or maybe in the 16th, the same day. Maybe it's a time zone thing. But even Candice Cooley reposted it. We'll have to see, a fair few comments. It's time to acknowledge them. Do we need to click on view more? Doesn't seem to be the case. So first one saying they obviously never had a family member murdered. Our suspect didn't even serve full time. Right, what does Candice Cooley say in response to that? Jazz saying, what do you mean by they? Oh, and the person explains, my mom was killed and the person responsible didn't serve full sentence. We weren't even notified of the release. Then they have the nerve to when they can't start hunting again. It's hard in the early part thinking they're going to get life, then only 1/4 time. They were allowed to move to a close prison to visit family. We could only visit a grave. Sorry, justice system. Understand now, I'm very sorry about your mother. It doesn't seem right that a killer should be able to walk up amongst us. Right. What's this? Agreeing with Jazz. I agree. I believe anyone convicted for murder should not be allowed to plea deal or anything and should get automatic life without parole sentence. Right. Maybe they're delaying it in hopes that Brenner will accept a deal and tell where Justin is. Justin? Dustin? Who's Dustin? What? You mean Dylan Rounds? What? Weird. Sometimes they do that. They can't bring closure to the family. Candice Cooley responds, saying, so sorry for your loss. It is absolutely terrible that most murderers never serve their full time. It is an injustice to us all as families that have loved ones taken away so unfairly, yet the person who committed the heinous act does not have to fully pay for what they took from us. My heart goes out to you and your family. There we go. Heartbreaking news, injustice. Thanks for the update. I can tell Dylan got his strength from you. Your tenacity is incredible. There will be an end to this and it will end in justice. It can't go on forever, although I know it seems like forever for families. It's set in stone now. Keep the faith and stay positive. We are there right with you. So there's a bit of consistency here that preliminary hearing and what could come after is all set in stone. There's no more worry now. Could anything else go wrong though? Because there's always room for it. Sounds negative, but trying to be realistic too. Next person, Sheridan. I'm so sorry, Candice. The system can be so unfair and unjust. You don't deserve to live in this agony. Prayers. Yeah. Blessings. Very disappointed for your family and how slow the justice system has been. I pray that new information will turn up as Brenner's trial comes closer. He's desperate and may want to barter for a better deal to give up info as to where he put Dylan. I don't think that Brenner is desperate because like how it's been worded previously, and it was even mentioned in one of the interviews with Candice Cooley, Justin Brown's on East Idaho News, that the situation with Brenner, the way he is, he's not with the general population of other, bad guys. Right? He's kind of like keeping to himself. He's by himself mainly. He actually enjoys that. He's got better living conditions now than what he did when he was in Lucin, and he's looked after better. and he's not around alcohol, so he's been a bit healthier, and he's given guaranteed food every day. So maybe for Brenner, it's more of a hotel visit in a way. So if he's comfortable where he's at, I don't think he'll be giving that up anytime soon. What else? I wish there was a higher official that could move this forward. Linda says it was 5.5 years before the person who murdered my son sat before his jury and was convicted. Well, so Kenneth Cooley did mention that for other families out there, they're not as fortunate, that it can get dragged out for many years. But Kenneth Cooley was saying how for them they're more lucky, but it hasn't been. So once again, reinforcing that. It needs to be moved to a different county. No one wants to have this case appealed due to not being able to field an impartial jury in Box Elder. Right. I have a tall tree and a short piece of rope. So Robert there is suggesting hanging Brenner, but I don't think that will get any answers out of Brenner though, will it? What's this one? Another delay? Oh, come on. What are they doing? That's delaying. I think it's time for something to happen. Unreal. Brenner has such a guilty conscience. He is in need to tell now. Candice Cooley responds, saying, this is not a delay. At least we are moving forwards. A preliminary cannot be changed. Is that so? Interesting. Okay, good. Read it wrong. Yeah, I'm sure the people will read it wrong. The way the article was worded by The Sun, they were saying it was delayed. But it hasn't been delayed. The date has been set later on in the year of 2024. I mean, I guess the only way you qualify it for being delayed is just because of one of the attorneys busy, not around, so it's dragged out till a later date. But I would normally say a delay is when you get closer to the event and then it's suddenly said, oh, it's been pushed back further. When a date has been announced, if the date is then adjusted for later, pushed back after that, then I would say that's more of a delay. Maybe not everyone will agree with that, but just my thoughts there. Justice system is a joke, heartbreaking. Brenner should do the right thing and tell where Dylan remains located. It's already been proven that he murdered him. His parents need to bring him home. Brenner should be made to tell you. Well, has it been proven that Brenner murdered Dylan? I wouldn't say to that extremity. I'd say that there's evidence which points in Brenner's direction as being the one responsible. But if you wanted to say evidence that proved that Brenner was the one that murdered Dylan, it would be, let's say, CCTV footage of Brenner stood there taking Dylan out. That would be considered proof, full-on proof. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to exist. But, once again, one of those things, there's other people out there that truly believe that Brenner is 100% innocent. Where's the evidence to support Brenner's true innocence, though? With hard evidence, hard material. That would be my point made. Because it just seems like there is more evidence, on Brenner to say that he was the one. I know some people out there will point out and say, well, yeah, because Brenner's the fall guy. He takes it all on his shoulders. But I wouldn't say Brenner's put up a fight or shown much resistance either to drag anyone else down with him. If Brenner felt like he was completely screwed, then wouldn't he try and take someone else down with him? Maybe. Anyway, what's this? I pray Brenner never gets out of jail, and I hope he goes to prison for life. Karma will get him in prison. Will it? It depends who he's surrounded by. If he's by himself, I don't think karma will get him. But if he's with general population, then maybe could get in some fights. Next one. Brenner needs to tell where Dylan is and needs the death penalty omitted. They've killed Dylan. They have proved Candice and Justin. I pray you get some back. Oh, more comments down below. Normally that tends to be at the top. Well, it's not loading. I wish Brenner would do the right thing to tell where Dylan is at. So yeah, that seems to be it for the comments there. Let me know how you feel after reading about that latest news article. It seemed to give some additional backstory as well to stuff we've already heard in the past, and some of it was poorly worded, but that's typical there. But as for the latest talk, more so about the preliminary hearing and how it was worded and what Kenneth Cooley translated it to, that it's set in stone, that there is momentum, it's under control. Do you feel a level of confidence, any form of consistency, that feeling that what Kenneth Cooley said translated well in terms of what that article stated most recently? Does it settle anybody? Or are you still very skeptical and cautious as to what could happen next, that something bad could happen? Like, you don't trust Candice Cooley? Do you trust this news article too, or not? Just let me know all your thoughts down below. For those that have joined right now, late, so naughty, feel free to catch up when you can from the start of this video and go from there. Shout out to the people that do that, appreciate that. And let me know your thoughts right now as to what you think of things. What I do want to do now, though, is move on to the comments of last night's discussion video regarding the Dylan Rounds case and Kevin Bibbins, just to see what people had to say in response and if there's any questions that need answering. And then once we've done that, we'll see where we are with the time. Adjusting to the newest comments, and we can work our way up. What do we have first of all? We got Cleo playing in hide and seek. Cleo approved of the thumbnail, that's good to know. I did say in advance, hopefully the video doesn't get misunderstood, and response-wise, Cleo did say, I will watch the video again because I was getting bothered during it. I'll let you know if I have any misunderstandings, right? And Christy said there was no misunderstandings. So that seems good, across all boards there. Skeptical says, currently watching America's Game. Will watch your video on replay later. Focused, ready to make appropriate comments. Okay. Was there any here? Cleo, highly recommend. Skeptical, 13 hours ago. Here I go. Ooh, and no response afterwards. Did Skeptical make it out alive after watching that long video of mine? Hopefully. We'll see if there's any more comments above them. Cleo, I'll rewatch this now, right? Glenn to Cleo. I'm still watching. Oh my god, good video. It'd be so exciting if you do the Panama mystery. Would be interesting getting your investigator skills on the case. I guess when it's time, I'll try and get round to it. I know the other guy, Abdullah, wants that too. Just want to do these Dylan Rounds videos as we are right now, just like a checkpoint, and the odd other Kenny Veach video, just to keep the momentum there and then transition into the Panama one, let's say. Would it be a series? I'm not sure. Would it be tell the story from start to finish? Maybe map analysis. That's always possible. And see what photos we've got to work with, right? Well, here we've got Pam saying, thank you, Warlight Ref. You're welcome. It's common here in the US for many people that use guns, more so the people that are on drugs, alcohol, booze type people. These are the ones that are more gun happy, worthless in my view. Now, anyone that has a felony should not have a gun or any type of firearm. Fair enough. People that use guns for defense know how to, what to do in a way of hunting or protection for themselves or families. So I'm aware that there'll be people in the US, you know, the wrong type of people that are in, you know, possession of a firearm. It makes firearms look bad and evil, but the reality is it's just the people behind the guns. So I don't know if it's fully happened yet, but it can happen in life where you get, what do you call it, the minority maybe, or a smaller group of people that misuse things, get in trouble, and then it means everybody else gets punished for it and restricted too. Maybe it's not happened yet in the US, but do you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like a classroom situation, microcosm, where one person acts out, the rest of the class suffers because of that one person. Maybe not many people will agree with that comparison, but, you know, it's just on the spot. June, saying, in my opinion, if Candice Cooley would have appreciated anyone looking for Dylan, things would have been a lot better for all. But she didn't have a mother's connection to him, so it was more about her and what she wanted. I still think Kurt Wadsworth is deeply involved. I always wondered why Candice Cooley stuck up for Kurt Wadsworth, such as when his trailers smelled completely of bleach and when he called with that story that Dylan was being held somewhere. She made excuses. I mean, really, is Kurt the type to bleach his trailer on cleaning day? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that he was just the one to get them out of the trailer so that things could be brought back whilst they're gone, like a decoy. A camera outside or inside surely would have caught whoever it was, don't you think? No one had to know that they put a camera somewhere. Also, the prosecutor in a case has more power concerning a plea bargain. The judge is the one that accepts, but mostly agrees with the prosecutor. So the last bit about the higher-ups having the final decision, that the likes of Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds can't just accept a certain deal or deny a certain deal. But as I said, whether they're in control or not, it comes down to the attitude. And the initial attitude by Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds, are, we don't want to make a deal with the devil. We want to find our own son for maximum, I don't know how you could word it, maximum closure, knowing that they were able to retrieve Dylan and that they didn't have to rely on the person that took Dylan from this world to begin with. I get that. I do. And I have done analysis before. Obviously, it makes the case a lot harder, as we've seen, but it was their mentality decision, if you want to call it that at least. Anything else to mention further up? Do I think that Candice Cooley has defended Kurt Wadsworth? I guess at least when it comes to attention-wise, she's diverted it away from Kurt and focused more on Brenner and maybe a little bit on Chase Venstra in the early days when there was directions pointed that, you know, what about Kurt Wadsworth? And Candice Cooley's like, well, no, Kurt Wadsworth doesn't really come into conversations. He doesn't really play a role, not at all, right? I mean, this is the question what I want to put forward, okay? For all the people out there that are suspicious and are a bit uncertain with Candice Cooley, all the people out there that don't trust Candice Cooley, what are your thoughts on the matter between Candice Cooley and Kurt Wadsworth? Do you think that Candice Cooley is protecting Kurt Wadsworth? Yes or no? We'll do a poll right now. Feel free to vote. And if you believe so, if you say yes, feel free to elaborate down below in the chat or the comment section. It'll be interesting to see. Was there anything else to mention here, though, in response to what June was saying? Yeah, so the bit about Candice Cooley acknowledging other people being out there and searching, would it have gone better? On a smaller scale, it might have eliminated certain problems, right? You know, when it comes to the general public, for most part of it, if you exclude certain characters within this case, it didn't really lead to much backlash, did it? The only stuff that led to backlash was the likes of Ty Corbin and Earthworm Infotainment Lance Kelly, who both felt that they were, in a way, somewhat disrespected and underappreciated by Candice Cooley. But Ty Corbin, Lance Kelly, even individually, believed that they were motivated more so than Candice Cooley in finding Dylan Rounds, and that they wouldn't stop even if Candice Cooley told them to stop. And I think one thing that might have also motivated the likes of those characters to continue to push on is because they supposedly said that Justin Rounds approved. Dylan's father approved of what these general public people, volunteers, were doing, right? I know you got the general public as well with their opinions. You can let me know your thoughts there. But you see, it seems a bit divided, supposedly. I don't know if it still applies now, but up to a point at least when the searches were ongoing and the public stuff was taking place and when it was called off but others continued on like Ty Corbin, Lance Kelly, you got Justin Rounds approving of it and being thankful and grateful that people are trying. Then you got Candice Cooley who's more so, you know, it would be best if you stop because it could ruin this case, right? You can see it from both sides, or at least I can. You got Justin Rounds being grateful because any help is good, any help can be useful, and it can speed up and increase the chances of some resolve. Just like other cases. You know, other cases, when people have joined in and helped, like the Aidan Clune one or the Christine Passé Park one, there's been acknowledgement from the family or friends of family, showing their approval and stuff, and that's all positive. In those cases and situations, did it lead to a result and a good outcome? No. They're still ongoing. So there is that. You still got to acknowledge it. But with the Dylan Rounds case, you got Justin appreciative of any help is seen as good and useful. But then you got Candice Cooley who will see it from a different, more critical, deeper side of, yes, it's good, but a time and a place. And right now is not the time. If Candice Cooley was aware or had information that there were interesting, important spots out there that needed to be searched, kind of like if you're an archaeologist and you've been tasked with a certain location or you found it yourself, do you want everybody else wading themselves in and possibly causing disruption? Could it cause more problems than it's worth? There's a chance, right? I mean, there's a chance going out there and helping can lead to Dylan being found, but there's also a chance that going out there and helping can also lead to a negative, such as disrupting a hotspot, destroying certain evidence. And, you can be as careful as you want, but things can still go wrong. So from both sides, it's good general public volunteer to help. That's a positive. The negative, though, is at times when you think you're helping, you can be causing more problems than it's worth. People might get triggered by that, but what I've just said there is balance, a positive and a negative. Candice Cooley sees it from a negative viewpoint at a point in time. Justin Rounds sees it from a positive viewpoint. There is a split and divide. I see it from both sides. Okay? Is there anything else to acknowledge here? No. If we acknowledge anything else, we could drag on a bit. we don't want to repeat. Anyway, June says, off topic, but in the UK, criminals will use a knife for, let's say, home invasions, robberies, murders, a rarity to use a gun. I don't know how I feel about that. In the UK, are people allowed to carry a firearm to protect themselves? Well, at least from what I'm aware of, and for most part of it, people in general just aren't allowed to just walk around casually with a firearm to protect themselves. Neither are they really allowed to walk around with a knife in their possession for protection. Now, the excuse will be that with this knife crime in the UK, there'll be a lot of younger people that will just carry knives just for the sake of it, for their own personal protection. Oh, I'm just carrying it for protection. But they still get caught up in the knife crime. Just don't pull the knife out. Don't use it. Don't have it in the first place. But then doesn't it lead to you being unprotected? It's like a never-ending cycle, right? You could argue and say that knife crime might be at a higher rate by certain types of people out there. We don't need to explain much further than that, but messy situation. I mean, there's still usage of firearms by the bad people, right? Bad people can always get a hold of the items. I know there was a comment, I believe, last night saying that even if you did restrict firearms in the US in terms of not the normal people, but the criminals, the bad ones, if you didn't give them a firearm, but you allowed everybody else to have one, those criminals would still always find a way around it. There's always a back door. And that's true. If there was a way to limit the chances, though, wouldn't that be somewhat of a positive? Better than nothing. We've got Beatrice saying this was interesting. That's good to hear. That is good. Cleo, video recommended highly. Rafi, best source for making things clear. Looking forward to tomorrow's video. You're welcome. So all positive up to now, which is good to see. Smooth fishing, very well done tonight. Great topic. Appreciate that. And it's good how we're able to branch off with a topic in general and how it can relate to the case. Christy saying, I came in late yesterday. I had to watch the beginning now. Very interesting thoughts. Psychological analysis are my favourite. I like when your thoughts take unexpected turns because in my opinion, this is the moment when you really give the best of you. Great job. Thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate that. So you say that you like it when my thoughts take unexpected turns. The real question is, Christy, what do you think when things take a dodgy unexpected turn? Yeah. Anyway, move on. Christy says, by the way, like and share this video right now. The goal of this channel is 10,000 subscribers. So it's nice of Christy to leave a comment like this as like a reminder. Appreciate that. This is all done naturally. I can't remember the number now. What is it, like 500 or something? 500? Or is it? Well, maybe when I looked last time, it was about 460 subscribers away from reaching 10,000, which is getting there. And I said about, like, by the end of this year, if possible. I said that'd be very good. Just see what can happen and keep on going with the coverage when one is able to. Appreciate that. And what's this? Cleo's last comment. So many links in this video to make other videos to help others. Thank you. You're welcome there. So just want to say in advance, skeptical. If you do leave comments, I might not get... I didn't get round to responding to them because at least on screen here, I've not seen them unless they were posted elsewhere. Or maybe you and others may leave comments at a later time. in the day, right? Take in mind, you know, when I record videos, there might be before someone's left a comment. Okay, so the time when, was it Corey or somebody else said, "Why did you ignore my comment?" Well, I didn't ignore it. I simply didn't see it at the time when I made my video, because at the time I made my video, you hadn't posted your comment. You did later on. I already finished making the video by then. Okay? Just wanted to give a heads up there. What I'm about to present to you next is still relevant to the Dylan Rounds case, and it does involve Bob Farrell, Salty Pancakes, and even Shack Lady in the background. Some recent talk going on. I think it was originally triggered by Salty Pancakes' presence on Vegas Girl's most recent live stream, which didn't go to plan. Salty Pancakes going on and about being the Dylan Rounds community, that it was all Salty Pancakes' work or so, that he is the community, nobody else is. And I guess people were listening along, such as Bob Farrell, or messages were passed along. And then Bob responded back thinking, "What are you on about, Salty Pancakes?" And Salty also claiming he's a part of the documentary about Dylan Rounds. You know, some of us have already seen that. And, you know, some people will be familiar that I have already done an analysis of the entire documentary. It's available on my channel. If you check back, it's all under control. And it is also under control because today I'm going to present to you some of the documentary footage to prove Salty Pancakes was involved in the documentary, but it was exaggerated by Salty Pancakes, okay? And also reinforce that, of course, that I was involved in the documentary as well. Was that by choice? No, they included me without asking me, and they also, you know, mixed and matched, didn't give full context as to what I was saying. I've already done an analysis and clear up of that. I'll try and provide the links in the chat or down below in the pinned comment section, because it's very important for a reference point, and it's also very important to know the full context, right? I just want to provide a certain point of view with the evidence to back things up, to counter some of Bob Farrell's claims, okay, and responses recently, just to clear things up, okay? It might help people. And this is all in relation to the Dylan Rounds case / the documentary / the community. So don't go anywhere. If other people need to come in quick, because it's now time to get into it. So what we'll do, because we don't want to go into the copyright issues there with other people's live streams and looking back at it. You want to check it out for yourself, feel free to do so, maybe on what other people have said about it, commentating it, or Vegas Girl's channel initially. I guess I could provide a bit of a backstory, or a very short one to begin with before we get into the comments. Vegas Girl did a live stream with Salty Pancakes, not knowing of how Salty Pancakes would act on stream through StreamYard. But supposedly Salty Pancakes was trolling Vegas Girl and some other viewers too by playing stupid and not really saying that much, just claiming that he's not from this earth, more so an alien and all that. So it's kind of like messing around, could say childish behavior, lightheartedness, whatever. But I guess Vegas Girl initially was thinking this was going to be some kind of insightful interview with Salty Pancakes as a one-off, but clearly it didn't go to plan. Now, that's the thing. Some people will be vulnerable out there and think a person coming onto panel is a good outcome. Not always. It can go wrong. And with those certain characters out there, they can change in behaviour, or they may have a certain game plan. When it comes to Salty Pancakes, at times you could argue his behaviour is predictable. At times when he may come onto panel, he may talk in a certain way, a certain tone of voice, a certain pace of his voice, and it can be at times a giveaway as to whether he's being serious or not, whether he's wasting your time, he's trying to confuse your mind, he's having fun, he's playing games, playing a game of chess and trying to be in the dominant position, right? We know Salty Pancakes has been known to do prank calls, pranks, joke around on his own shows in the past, and the likes of the Shack Lady approved of it, found it funny. But Initially, she didn't, but then she did, so she changed. So you see how things went about. I know Kaylee was around at the time too when it came to those prank calls. Not in the Dylan Rounds case community, but I guess businesses and stuff out there messing about, trying to have fun. But, you know, that trickster behavior, messing around. Can you trust someone like that? Could you trust people that associate with someone like that and be around at the time? You might be a little bit cautious. As I said, there's no harm in being like that. I mean, if you see Jim Terry may go on panels, may flash images on screen, some dodgy things and objects. Well, if there was a time where Jim Terry said, invite me on, are you going to? Are you going to fall for it or not? Because sometimes it might go okay, other times it won't. Depends how they're feeling at the time and what they think about you, right? As I said, people can't penetrate onto my channel because as much as they may want to come on live, it just doesn't happen, okay? There's a certain specific format here and it works, simple as. But for other people that do live streams, they make themselves vulnerable at times and they're not always aware of what could happen next. And Vegas Girl, I guess, was on the receiving end of it. And she ended up cutting the live because she had enough of how it was going and what Salty Pancakes was saying. The bit about Salty Pancakes talking about Dylan Rounds' case, how he is Mr. Dylan Rounds, that he is the one and only to have covered the case and done most of the work. That's how it can be interpreted as, that he is the community, that he starred and appeared in the documentary. And I guess when you hear it like that, you think, whoa, so it was a real big involvement, kind of like Heavy D to that scale and magnitude. Well, not quite. And as said, there is footage to show that Salty Pancakes was in the documentary, but only for a little portion of it, just like how I was, okay? Now, Bob Farrell must have caught on to Vegas Girl's live stream, or someone like Kenny or some other little Gabriel messengers come along with the wings, may have listened to Vegas Girl's live stream, told Bob about it, or Bob already knew, whichever way around, and then Bob reacted to it on his community post. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at that right now. Take in mind, everything that we're looking at right now is all public, publicly viewable on a public channel. So it's unnecessary to get whingy or whiny about it. And in addition, this is in relation to the Dylan Rounds case, and that's why we're looking at it, okay? So let's take a look at the responses. So here's one of the posts by Bob, one of many. Below, Bob also reposted one of the Shack Lady's post from her community tab. If we do get time, we'll try and read that out as well. But Bob here, 19 hours ago, states, there are so many people talking about Dylan Rounds' case. God only knows who is telling the truth and who is lying. One person we all know who lies is his mother, Candice Cooley, from the very first interview she did with Heavy D. And yet, to this day, she will not come clean with the information of the gun and key fob. Just wait till the day comes when this case goes to court. Some of will fall out of our chairs when we all hear the truth, and someday if this is ever made for a movie, I will try my best to let them know all of the fake ass news she put out. So Bob Farrell here is calling out Candice Cooley for being a liar. And Bob Farrell is also referencing basically what Corey has said as well about the gun and key fob. So you can tell that they're in line with one another there. But the first part that Bob mentions, which you could argue and say is kind of incorrect, that there are so many people talking about Dylan's case. There isn't. There's significantly less people talking about Dylan's case now than early on, right? It's a fact. You look at the numbers all around, okay? Less people are talking about Dylan Rounds' case now than back then, okay? And one sub-reason as to why that's happened is most of the drama and conflict, like a tornado, has gone in different directions and towards other case communities, such as Alex Easterling, okay? So all the people wrapped up in the drama and conflict that just so happened to be around in the Dylan Rounds case and community, well, that tornado has departed and they have followed too, hence why it's quieter. Now, what could be happening right now is the tornado or a sub one returning back to the Dylan Rounds community as a hot spot. So the people that are coming back, are they coming back for the Dylan Rounds case? No, they're just following in the direction of the drama and conflict, which just so happens to be approaching the Dylan Rounds community once again, right? I've seen it myself. I've seen people drop off. I've seen people no longer covering the case. I've seen people that claim to be true crime channels or true crime live call-ins and panels end up completely stop talking about the case and just talking about completely random stuff. I've seen the changes in behaviour by people, okay? The only person that's remained, okay, at least covering the case, at least trying to keep it alive, is me, okay? And people could say, well, where's the proof? Well, I'm doing a video right now on the case, and the last few weeks I've been doing videos too, so there you go. But let's just move up. What's this? Hashtag Justin Rounds. If you see this or any of your friends, the shack lady needs to speak with you. She said you blocked everyone on your phone or you got a new phone number. Happy holidays to you and your family. So Bob is saying that Justin Rounds blocked the shack lady. Okay. What's this? So just some of her random points here. So we just skip past them. Bob says, if anyone on Facebook sees that the Rounds family is selling t-shirts or hoodies for Dylan, let me know. I would like to buy a few. I would also post it on my community page for them. Moving on up. And then this is the main post, okay? Bob Farrell says, wow, big fight on Vegas Girl stream tonight with Mr. Salty3Pancak3s himself. Maybe I am wrong on something, but Salty3Pancak3s said he was on the movie with Rounds. Never seen again. Dylan movie. He said he was in it. I better see a doctor because I don't see him in that movie. I saw the nutbag Warlike Wrath on the show. Well, it's nice to be acknowledged, I guess. Not always for the right reasons and done incorrectly. But yes, the nut bag, the pistachio nut Warlike Wrath, also known as Dr. Wrath, appeared in the Dylan Rounds documentary, unlike other people that claim to be all about the case, and yet they didn't make the cut, did they? But, as I clearly said, how I was portrayed in the documentary was done incorrectly. But they didn't give full context. But they basically worded it like what I was saying was coming from my mouth directly, but it wasn't. It was actually being reiterated from where it originally came from, which was the Shack Ladies live stream, Bob Farrell on panel, talking about the possibilities that Chase Venstra and Aviles kidnapped Dylan Rounds, put him in a horse box, tied him up, and then Dylan accidentally hung himself. Okay, it sounds a bit ridiculous, but, you know, it came from over there, so what do you expect? I did do a full explanation video clearing it up, so if people want to jump onto that bandwagon once again on me, well, there's a link down below which does clear it up, simple as. If people choose to avoid clicking on it, well, that's their problem, okay? It shows that they're showing resistance and denial, that they don't want to learn about the truth. That's not my problem. The link is down below. The opportunity to learn is present. You make the final decision, okay? But in general, Bob Farrell has worded this a little bit dodgy. He's got his caps lock turned on. Some people have said because he's got it locked, his keyboard's broken. That's unfortunate. But yes, Vegas Girl. Bob Farrell exaggerates here. A big fight on Vegas Girl's stream. Well, Vegas Girl's live stream was 30 to 42 minutes long, so I wouldn't say it was that long. And for most part of it was Salty3Pancak3s talking and messing about. It was only when it got towards the end it started heating up, and it didn't last that long, 10-15 minutes, so I wouldn't say it was a big fight. We've seen bigger fights elsewhere with the likes of Jim Terry, Shack Lady and Salty3Pancak3s all in one place, which was a complete disaster, as you remember. Do you remember that, Bob? So there's been worse scenarios in the past. I guess Vegas Girl decided to cut it short, cut the live stream before it escalated any further. Was it the right thing to do? Some people could say it was done too late, but I guess it's better than nothing rather than it just dragging on. I mean, the Vegas girl didn't kick Pancakes off the panel. She just completely ended the live stream. So I guess that's a different outcome to what other people would do with time. I mean, other people, if they had an issue with someone, they would just kick them off the panel, but the whole live stream ended on this occasion. So, yeah. But yeah, where Bob Farrell says Salty Pancakes claimed he was on the movie with Rounds. Basically, what Bob is referring to here is reiterating that Salty Pancakes claimed to be in on it, involved in the Dylan Rounds documentary Never Seen Again, that he starred in it. Bob Farrell is acknowledging that Warlike Wrath appeared on the show, but is confused as to whether Salty Pancakes appeared or not too. And there was some people leaving comments on Bob's channel also saying, yeah, I don't remember seeing Pancakes involved in the documentary. Well, like how Bob said, I could be wrong on something. Well, you are, Bob. I do have proof. I do have evidence. And for the trendy people that like to express their emotions with their trendy words, such as receipts, yeah, I do have the receipts in some way, a visual sense. What I'm going to do right now, just so people remember, rejogs people's memory, I'm going to play to you a portion of Never Seen Again, the documentary, and show you the scene where Salty Pancakes was involved and included in the documentary besides myself. There is proof, and it will demonstrate Pancakes was involved in the documentary. But I will acknowledge that Salty Pancakes, I guess, exaggerated his presence within the documentary. Let me play the video to you right now.
You know, the case just keeps getting weirder and weirder every day.
You think it's almost a professional thing because of how there's no trace of nothing, there's no evidence of nothing, nobody's talking, nobody's claiming this reward. So it's something bigger going on here, and it's probably connected to something bigger.
There was a wide variety of theories as far as what happened with Dylan from people all across the globe.
Maybe Dylan accidentally hung himself when he was trying to escape.
Could Dylan be in Mexico?
His dad told me he was in Mexico.
Just this morning, I was sitting at my desk.
So hopefully you were able to understand that part of the documentary. That was part 2 of the documentary, okay, when they did it. And it was talking around the themes of the presence of those online and them showing their thoughts, ideas and theories. Now, as said, the bit where it showed me, that wasn't coming from my mouth. It was like rephrasing what's been said elsewhere. And I did actually, in the original video, explain where it came from, but the documentary decided to cut that bit short, so it just sounded like it was coming from me. Of course, people found it very entertaining in the background, the opposition, etc., but it fell flat because the reality and proof was clearly there, as I've demonstrated in my own original videos. And that's the importance of documenting it all on my channel, because you can always refer back to it. It's under control. But I guess one thing that isn't always under control is other people's behaviour, those certain characters out there. But all in all, hopefully, Bob Farrell, what you saw just then, if you saw it, if you didn't, any of the little messengers or little goblins that may have been watching in the background, feel free to pass that on to Bob Farrell as for that clip of the documentary to prove Salty Pancakes was involved. Not to a great degree, but he was briefly included. I mean, Ty Corbyn's face was included at one point, but it was only a quick snapshot when there was replaying footage from Heavy D's, one of Heavy D's hikes out there in Bald Eagle Mountain Range, if you remember, okay? So there's only a short section where I was shown as well. My face appeared, so it was more identifiable by the likes of Bob, etc., and my voice, but that's because I actually put my face on screen. I don't hide behind a profile, you know? When it came to Salty Pancakes, at a point in time when that material was used, Salty Pancakes and his StreamYard on YouTube, as for that footage included in the documentary earlier on in the case with Zav Girl, okay, it wasn't shown his face immediately. So you can tell it's old footage, right, because things did develop and adapt with time. But I just wanted to present that material with you just for a bit of a backstory to reinforce and, you know, just to put it into perspective. That's all, okay? But it looks like the Shack Lady has got involved recently too. So a few days ago, Shack Lady said she's returning back. She's appearing in a live stream on Salty3Pancak3s channel, but not on YouTube elsewhere. Okay, and that did happen, and it was to do with bombshell information on the Dylan Rounds case. And to be honest, when you hear the word bombshell nowadays, it can be quite underwhelming just because of previous outcomes by others, right? But besides that, with Vegas Girl doing that live stream with Salty3Pancak3s, the Shack Lady tagged along in the live chat saying, "Give pancakes a chance." Now, obviously, it still didn't work out in the end. I don't know what the Shack Lady thinks about all that. But as we've seen, the Shack Lady herself has sided with Salty3Pancak3s these days compared to in the past where she was on the fence between Jim Terry and Salty3Pancak3s. Shack Lady changing in behaviour with time. Some people say it's natural. Others people say that Shack Lady was forced to because Salty3Pancak3s had information on her, so she had to abide and follow like a slave. That's not coming from my mouth. That's what other people have suggested and pointed out, okay? But at one point, maybe a month or two ago, Shack Lady did a long comment or so calling me out, and I did, a formal response video pointing her out, contradictions, her hypocritical behaviour, two-faced nature, okay? I've highlighted it, I've documented it, I've laid it out, I've explained it. You want context, the video's there, public on my channel, be sure to catch up on it, simple as, okay? But let's just see what the Shack Lady has had to say recently in response to Bob Farrell, okay? As said, it's like a triangular effect. Shack Lady, Bob Farrell, Salty3Pancak3s at this moment in time, and in the middle of it all, the Dylan Rounds case, okay? And as said, when there's stuff to cover about Dylan Rounds case, it'll be covered and it'll be documented, and this just so happens to encompass it, okay? Let's head on over to the Shack Lady's post. This post was done 1 day ago, though it has been edited since. Brace yourself, it could be a long one. The Shack Lady says, "Hello Shack Pack. I have to only laugh as last night I hear about gossip from a running hamster mouth again. I missed a show with Bob Farrell. Why? Well, true fact, I was actually on the phone with Kurt Wadsworth. Let's bust her bubble. Obviously, she has not a effing clue of what we talk about nor any recent events. Kurt Wadsworth made it very clear to me that no, he hasn't spoken with Kaylee at all, and the last was over a month and a half ago." Scroll on down. "I will make this very clear to the ignorant asses that can't seem to hear correctly or understand humour or even a conversation. No, Kurt Wadsworth doesn't know where Dylan Rounds is. Another fact, Miss Stupid Ass Ellen Berg, where your rumour came from is obviously you starting a damn rumour. No one has ever stated as fact or at all that Dylan's body was chopped up into an 18-inch hole off the well. Oh no, we're talking about being chopped up again. Oh God. Call me a liar, Miss Hamster Girl. You have a lot to learn. I know what I'm doing and it's not pertaining to you at all. You can lie out of your mouth and say you spoke with Kurt recently. You didn't, about our conversation we had about certain things. Are you mad that I may choose to consider a paywall to discuss things of importance because I choose to weed out the haters or drama bitches of YouTube? Stay mad. This sounds like some teenager level language here. Stay mad. Why you mad, bro? Oh no, it's making me cringe as well. I don't even like using that language. Right. So is this more so in response to Ellen Berg or something? Conversation with Kurt. Many people may have their own personal opinions on certain characters. In this case, I respect your opinions. However, respect the fact that I have mine too. If I feel a person is innocent, then I have that right. Until proven differently, I will believe and feel what I choose to do. And if I know in my heart I feel compelled to look into a matter of interest, well, so be it. I'll do as I please. If Kurt and I decide on going something together, then it's our business. Kurt and I have talked for well over a year plus. Many things have not been shared. There's times where it's been considered, but minds have changed because of other words or actions or others accusations eluding drama. I will protect the interest of my friends and associates that are like-minded individuals, being that I'm in no mood to tolerate drama bitches on YouTube. If I choose to do research and share amongst a group of people who are willing to support our efforts of work and dedication, then so be it. We have that right to do so. If you claim you have Justin's info to reach him, then let him know I'm trying to reach out to him to discuss matters with him personally. I've waited for many months now, and I've been sitting on stuff I'd love to share, but haven't, to respect the integrity of Dylan's case. Under no circumstances will I jeopardize it. Would I love to share with Justin? Most definitely. There's specific things only he can check on to validate. Right, so it's all about validation, not 100% confirmed then. That the parents, or at least some of the family members, need to know about this stuff in the case. But so supposedly the shack lady has more information than the parents do. Does the shack lady have more information than the FBI, the Pentagon, the CIA involved altogether, the whole United States government and the military? I don't know. Sounds interesting. Do I feel something is worth looking into and ruling out as a possibility, even if it comes up as a dead end? Absolutely, yes. For 1 minute, don't underestimate me, nor if I've taken roots in the right direction. With so much distraction from YouTube or misinformation out there, it can be challenging for LE to not take a lot serious. I get this. There will be really stupid people who will run with gossip, create useless content because they follow the sheep. I lead on my own, thank you. If it's trying to help to find this kid, I'm willing to do it. So the next time you choose to run your flaps, know what the hell you're talking about. Right, okay. So, let me know your thoughts down below. You got it here. I mean, what does the shack lady think of Corey? What does Corey think of the shack lady? What does Candice Cooley think of shack lady? I wonder. So much distraction from YouTube misinformation. I mean, I don't know. Hasn't the shack lady been in the presence of people that have spread misinformation and she's allowed them on her platform in the past? Possibilities there. I don't know. Maybe some people could highlight as a form of memory loss or reviving oneself as a true angel when, you know, there's darkness from previous times in this case and behavior. Yeah. A little bit dodgy, but there you go. Just wanted to share that with you. So maybe predictions that I've made here and there could be coming true once again. If so, well, kind of already prepared and other cases still to cover in the meantime. If I do reach the checkpoint before the storm, before all the other chaos happens, then I guess it's not exactly a bad thing. It might be one of those cases where if you do return back, you got to pick up from where people left off from, or you try and remove all the rubble of confusion once again. You know, I know people are sick of drama and conflict, but look, this time round, if it's coming back full circle, you know, any other motives going on in the background, I wonder. I don't know, part of me thinks that it past, well, some of it could be that others out there realise, you know, look who's covering this case still, we don't like that, so we'll get involved once again. See how things play out, okay? We'll see how things go. Let me know your reactions down below, your thoughts. Will this video get resistance? Ideally, it shouldn't, because the initial part of this video by me was presenting to you the latest news article, making sense of it. And then the second part of it was just responding back to comments in general. And then the third part of this video was looking at the responses in the community and correcting Bob Farrell based off, you know, evidence. Okay, and that's basically it. And just looking at some of the comments and responses too in the meantime. So viewers are aware of who is who and where people are currently at. Okay, so you see that the shack lady is drifting back and Bob Farrell's drifting back, you know, and maybe some of us, could it lead to chaos? Time will tell. But there's a few observations in between. No harm, just documenting it all, simple as. Very simple, isn't it? So hopefully you enjoyed the video. You found it equally as interesting as last night's. And take in mind, if you haven't watched last night's, be sure to catch up on it. Links will be down below in context to what was talked about today. So I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night for now.